Welcome to the first of some short talks that tie in with our new wayside pulpit, we're calling it. So here in Virginia Water, we've got a very busy main road right outside, and we've put a new series of posters and billboards which ask some searching questions. Now, quite often these are quite cheesy, aren't they, when you see them? God wants spiritual fruit, not religious nuts. We decided not to use that one. But we've asked a number of questions, and the first question that we're focusing on, and maybe you've seen it as you've been driving past, is why God? So I guess that is a question you could take in a number of different directions. Why is there something and not nothing? Why is there a world around us? Why do I have consciousness in order to ask deep philosophical questions about meaning? Why do humanity continue to ask God questions? Is that out of date? Is it a primitive instinct? Or is there something else going on? Some of you may well already be convinced that there is God of some shape or form. But maybe more the question for you is, why God? Why, God, do you not intervene in our world and do something about all the struggling and the suffering that is going on? Or why are you not bringing some judgment on the terrible things that happened in this world, or giving me meaning for myself? The Bible boldly affirms that God does exist. So the very first words that you read in the Bible: in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning, God already existed. And God, in eternity past, decided to create something out of nothing. And this is actually consistently affirmed throughout the whole of the Bible. The psalmist says, "The heavens declare the glory of God." And there's something about this wonderful world that's made that seems to point beyond itself to a maker. If you walk down the road and you find a mobile phone and you click on the screen, it's not locked, and you open it, you discover that it's full of emails and Facebook messages and all sorts of social media. You don't think, isn't it amazing that this random object came together into this form and landed here? No, somebody made it in a factory somewhere. And also that if you dig a bit deeper into it, that it's very personal. It's got people's individual fingerprint, as it were, possibly even literally a fingerprint to open it, identifying who they are. And in a similar way, I think Christians believe the same about the world. That the heavens are declaring a message that God exists and that he made this world. I don't know if you were around, but when Apollo 8 landed those first few astronauts on the moon, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, they read from Genesis chapter 1. Amazing, really. Right up there on the moon, peering down at the earth that they just left. And their instinct, as Christian believers, was to read the beginning of the Bible about God's creation. Now, of course, Yuri Gagarin, the Russian cosmonaut, turned up a bit later on, and he commented, perhaps with those previous astronauts in mind, "I see no God." Because actually, there are many people who look at the world around and say, isn't it amazing how it has evolved and how it has adapted, and humanity has come on the scene and also managed to survive? So not everybody sees creation pointing to Creator. Because in actual fact, you need to read a little bit beyond Genesis 1 anyway to get the full story. Because as you read through the rest of the Bible, there's a confident affirmation that not only did God create this world, but it wasn't like he sort of wound up the clock and then left it to slowly wind down. No, God is actively involved in the world. He spoke to a bunch of people identifying who he was. And humanity, down the years, has had this seeking after God. Augustine, the famous theologian in the 3rd century, said that, "O God, you've made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they find their rest in you." And I find that talking to people in our community, there's that restlessness there. How can I be in tune with a God who I think exists, but I don't really know? And I think what I'd like to encourage you to think about is, as you ponder the why God question, have a look at the world around you and say, is there a creative mind, a powerful being behind it all? And if so, has he communicated to us in any way? The Christian message affirms that actually God not only made this world, but actually he broke into the world, coming himself in the person of Jesus Christ. And as we build up to Christmas, we marvel at the incarnation, God taking on human flesh to show us what he is like. Not only just to demonstrate what a perfect human being could be like, but also supremely, actually, to go to the cross, where Christians believe that he took upon himself punishment for the sins of the whole world, and then rose victorious to show us the direction which we would go if we trust in him. And I suppose, probably as the minister of Christ Church Virginia Water, I'd want to encourage people just to investigate it for themselves. Maybe read that John's Gospel, because God does make himself known to us. He hasn't remained silent and hidden. He speaks supremely through his word. And actually, in John chapter 1, it picks up the Genesis language of God's eternal existence. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. God eternally existed. He makes himself known, interestingly, through the Word. He's a speaking God and continues to speak now. Now, friends, thanks so much for getting this far. I'd love you to explore it a little bit more yourself. You can contact on social media or via our website. Pop into church if you're around southwest London and visit us on any Sunday. But perhaps most of all, encourage you just to look at the primary documents yourself. You pick up a copy of John's Gospel and hear God telling you what he's like in the person of Jesus Christ. I hope that excites you, because the answer to the why God question is God himself. He may not win you over straight away, but he encourages you to trust him. Trust him to be big enough, not only to bring this world into being, but to wrap it up one day, and to be kind enough to come close to us in Jesus Christ and to make himself known. And if your heart is aching a little bit with those why questions now, I encourage you to meet the God who is compassionate and loving and gracious and tender and kind. The God who was attractive to people when he came on earth. And he still changes lives, even today. And I can introduce you to hundreds of people, if you turn up in church this Sunday, who would love to tell you what he's done for them. Thanks so much for your time and watching. And look out for some more of our little wayside pulpits as you travel down Christ Church Road in Virginia Water.